The Shark Deck.
I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Apparently, Conan O'Brien, when he took over for Letterman, wanted to call the show Nighty Night with Conan O'Brien. He told the story on his podcast and said, "We thought it was just really cartoony and funny." Conan was worried about being compared to Letterman, and, year one there, it took a minute, Conan. Conan said, "We had a meeting in this office at 30 Rock, and we told Rick Ludwin, who was the NBC late night chief, we told Rick we wanted to meet with him, and we were worried about being compared to Letterman, and we said we were thinking of changing the name Late Night, and Rick said, NBC owns that name. It's a popular franchise. We wouldn't get rid of it unless there's a spectacular new one, and we said we wanted to call it Nighty Night with Conan O'Brien." O'Brien said Ludwin was a very proper executive and a wonderful guy, but he was tearing flesh at the idea and said, "It's going to remain Late Night with Conan O'Brien." Conan said they weren't under much supervision when they put the show together. If someone told me they picked a guy who was 29, who has no experience, and they picked a producer in Jeff Ross who's done some work with Kids in the Hall, and much of his work's been in music, there's no way they're not all over them. But we were in New York, and most of the people were in L.A. Jeff Ross said, "I spent most of my time faking it and making it look like I knew what was going on until I figured it out." Screen Rant has hope for this upcoming Adam Sandler film called You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. That's out on the 25th. I'm less enthusiastic. If you're a longtime listener, I openly eye-roll most Adam Sandler movies. I'm sure Sandler doesn't care. He's made a lot of money. He's very successful. A lot of people like him. In my humble opinion, there are only a few good Adam Sandler movies, the masterpiece being Uncut Gems. The second best one is probably Hustle, and the ones with Drew Barrymore are pretty good. Other than that, Adam Sandler films are garbage, and I have low expectations for You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. But Screen Rant writes, while audiences are used to seeing Sandler putting on goofy, indistinct accents and acting over the top, the You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah sees Adam Sandler playing an average dad. Sandler leans into it too by being sarcastic to his daughters, telling dad jokes, and simply being irritated when he's distracted from the TV. Here, let's listen.
Just think Dua Lipa would make the party perfect.
You can have a ball pit.
That's for kids. I've had my period for 7 months now.
That's a long period, sweetheart.
Screen Rant says some shots in the trailer hint at a more meditative and heartfelt performance as his daughter goes to him for relationship advice. Even more interestingly, Sandler takes a backseat in the movie and he seems more like a supporting actor than the lead. The lead is 14-year-old Sonny Sandler. Her dad is Adam Sandler. Sonny is 14, so I will just move on. Las Vegas Weekly was polling their readers about their choice for various things that included top gentleman's establishment. I didn't read that part. I read the part about best stand-up show. So who did they pick, Johnny Mac? Well, they're right. In an era where stand-up comedy is booming bigger than ever before, no one's been holding down the Vegas stage longer than Scott Thompson. You're like, who's Scott Thompson? I will tell you, Carrot Top. That's who Scott Thompson is. Las Vegas Weekly says Carrot Top's always changing performance at the Atrium showroom remains a must-see on the Strip at the Luxor. Sacha Baron Cohen is bringing back Ali G. Variety says Baron Cohen has been working on a stand-up tour in which Ali G will make an appearance. A source denied that a new movie's in development. However, noted that Sacha is a writer and actor abiding by strike rules. The quote, as a SAG and WGA member, he's supporting the ongoing strike alongside his fellow writers and actors. That makes me think a movie is coming. In 2021, Ali G made an appearance during a secret gig at the Comedy Store in Sydney, Australia. Sacha said, I just wanted to get on stage and muck around and see what Ali G would be like with a crowd. It was really good fun. Ali G made his first appearance in 1998 on a sketch series called The 11 O'Clock Show. If you add 25 to 1998, you get 2023. So we see what might be going on here, right? Yes. Tonight at the National Comedy Center, Louis Black will celebrate political satirist Mark Russell with a reception and dedication. Russell's friends and fans are invited to the event. It's open to the public from 5 to 7 if you happen to be near Jamestown, New York. The dedication and brief remarks take place at 6 o'clock tonight. During the event, the National Comedy Center will have materials and artifacts from Russell's career on display and will add one of his musical parodies as a permanent component of its lyrical laughter exhibit. National Comedy Center Executive Director Journey Gunderson said, Mark Russell transformed the landscape of political humor in America, and in doing so, influenced a generation of comedic artists. His musical satires, beloved for decades by those inside and outside of Washington, made him comedy's greatest lyricist. His comedy legacy is unique and incomparable. Louis Black said Mark Russell was an extraordinary, talented satirist with a unique comic voice. He had a rapier wit, which are words I rarely use to describe a comedian. Hopefully, people will now realize how important he was in the pantheon of comedy. Marlon Wayans said that films like 2004's White Chicks need to be made today because social media has made people lose their enjoyment of life and comedy. Wayans was catching some grief because he made a sarcastic comment that referenced the Jason Aldean song Try That in a Small Town. If you're not familiar with that song, I don't want to get into that on this podcast. Just Google Try That in a Small Town. You can read the editorials yourself. Marlon was on Jalen Rose's podcast and said, I think social media messed up socializing and we got to get back to laughing and finding reasons to laugh and stop being so damn sensitive. All we're doing is filling our airwaves, filling our kids with fear and hate, and there's no laughter and love. The only thing that's going to bring us together is humor. What got Wayans some grief was an Instagram post where he mocked the viral Alabama riverboat brawl, and he wrote, how about we not try that in a small town? Let's all just be love, not war. Some people thought he was endorsing the song's message. Wayans said he actually thought the song was divisive and promoted the kind of mentality that fuels racism, bigotry, and some violence. Let's stop doing stupid songs like that, which promote negativity towards black people. That stuff ain't cool. Wayans said, most of the people on social media with these negative opinions aren't even real people. They're bots from other countries. They're trying to strip us of the very thing that makes our country special, the freedom of speech. We're so stupid that we allow this to happen. Sooner or later, they're going to take away the First Amendment. We're all going to have to think alike. People are going to get canceled. You can't think like this? What kind of society do we live in? From BillyPenn.com, comedian Jenny Yang is trying to stop the Philadelphia 76ers from getting a new arena. Billy Penn writes, the white and red posters declaring no arena in Chinatown fit right in amid the dimly lit graffiti art, sculptures, and mini murals adorning the staircase down to the underground arts subterranean space in Callowhill, where comedian actress Jenny Yang was preparing to perform. Between jokes about being engaged, interracial relationships, and growing up as a tomboy daughter of immigrants, Yang swallowed a tasty cake in one go. Regional reference, trust me, it makes sense. She talked about how Philly is so special to her, and how trips on the regional rail into Philly's Chinatown kept me alive and helped her feel at home while she was away from her family in California. Then she lit into 76 DevCore and its proposal to build a new home for the Sixers on the site of the Fashion District Mall and recently vacated Greyhound bus terminal. Yang said, these billionaire a-holes want to establish a sports arena right up against historic Philadelphia Chinatown. Did you know this? The crowd booed. And I want to be very clear who I think the villains are. I don't think the villains are the 76ers. I don't think the villains are sports fans in Philly. What I don't like is the fact that very rich billionaires have decided that they're going to take advantage of the importance and the real estate that Philadelphia Chinatown is on and extract its profit off the back of the little guy. That's not okay. Don't F with Philadelphia Chinatown. Now, I'm not from Philadelphia, but when I go down to Philadelphia, one of the things I always say is I like how all the sports arenas are in the one area. If you've never been there, the baseball stadium, the football stadium, and the basketball/hockey arena, they're all in one spot and they share parking lots, and it's very efficient and you can get right on and off the highway, and the subway goes right there, so I'm not sure why the Sixers are moving. I also don't know where Philadelphia Chinatown is. Should I get out a map? I should, right? Why not? Okay, now I see where this is. This is over by Franklin Square. It's kind of by 676. It's kind of by 95. It's kind of sort of near the subway, but I don't know. Why don't we leave the stadiums where they are? I admit, I'm very undereducated in all this, but as a tourist, I don't know. I like where the stadiums are. Later in her comedy set, Yang incorporated Sixers owner David Blitzer and Josh Harris into a top 10 list titled Eat the Rich. The segment suggested what kind of food different billionaires might be. Yang said between the three of them, their companies have been accused by human rights organizations of taking away affordable housing. I would want to eat them on a dish of delicious stir-fry, Kung Pao billionaires. Oh, and I had other things, but that's a good way to get out because that made me laugh. Let's get out there, and I'll see you tomorrow. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow.